Welcome back, guys. Or if you're new here, this is Automotive Anonymous, and that's the 2024 Subaru Forester. More specifically, it's the Touring, so it's the Apex or the highest trim level of the Forester that you can buy for 2024. And this is also the last year of this 5th generation. So I have a lot to show you guys, and if you're new here, I'm actually a Subaru owner myself. So pay close attention to the screen because you don't want to miss any of what you're about to see, hear, and learn. So you can expect to see a walk around, all the specs, initial driving impressions, 0 to 60 on GPS, and then my final thoughts to help you decide what do you do with the last year of the Forester Touring in this generation. Do you buy it or do you leave it at the lot and maybe look at the other competition? Big thanks to Twin Falls Subaru for letting me borrow theirs for the day. I'll link it below if you're interested. Otherwise, let's dive right in with this review. And if you guys like Subaru as a company, the Forester as a model, or my video, please consider liking my video. That small act of kindness really goes a long way. And also comment below what your thoughts are on the audio quality of this video. I'm using a different aftermarket microphone today, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Anyways, let's continue. But if you're new to the Subaru Forester, you should know that these first came out back in 1997. This is now the 5th generation of the Forester and the 6th and final year of that generation. It did have a refresh front end back in 2022. It's also when the Subaru Forester Wilderness model came out. And these have been a pretty popular seller every single year in North America. They sell over 100,000 units, and they do phenomenal in a lot of areas. They're one of the most popular crossover compact vehicles you can buy. But a base model starts at about $27,000, and a fully loaded Touring starts at about $37,000. So this Touring starts about $10,000 less than the average vehicle transaction for 2024, and this one has a couple $1,000 of extra goodies. But Twin Falls Subaru also knocked about $3,000 off. So the way this one's configured, you could get it for about $38,000. So depending on your part of the country where you live and what your local dealers and inventory look like, it might be worth traveling if you want to save a few $1,000s. But these are really cool. The Touring has the optional brown seats, the brown Nappa leather, which is pretty cool. I've done a few videos with those in the past, and they're pretty comfortable. But so are the black seats that this crystal white pearl one comes with. And then you also get 10-way driver power seat, 8-way passenger power seat. You, of course, get heated seats. The panoramic sunroof is standard on every vehicle that's not the base model. And you get a lot of other goodies as listed here, as well as the window sticker that shows the extra options that you're going to see that this one has. But honestly, guys, the only two main changes for 2024 over the 2023s, and I reviewed all 6 trim levels for last year and all but the base model so far now for 2024, is the only two differences are typical inflation. So all the vehicles are a couple $100s more than they were last year. And you now lose the CD player across the board on every trim level. There's no longer a CD player on either the 6.5-inch screen head units or the 8-inch like what this has, which I'm sad about. I know I don't personally use CDs. I haven't for years, but I'm still sad to see that go. And I wish Subaru would have included that on this model. What's also sad is the next generation. It's shown to have the 11.6-inch screen, which although that looks really good in person, it loses a lot of the functionality and the convenience of having physical knobs and buttons like this one has. But overall, people buy Subarus for a couple reasons. The main ones are because they're incredibly safe. This one is a top safety pick plus, and as you can see here, it has a lot of active and passive standard safety features to protect you and your family. It also does really well with all of its adaptive cruise control settings, and because these have a phenomenal mechanical all-wheel drive system, it's not reactionary. It's not part-time, it's all the time all-wheel drive, and the Subaru benefit is really good with that. I have quite a few videos actually of Subarus in snow. I have a few that have already been released. I have a lot that are going to be released soon. Or if you don't want to wait, my membership program where you can see them right now is about $3 a month. And to touch on safety features a little bit further, I'm going to do something rather unpleasant so that you can see an example of how this protects you and your family. So I'm going to go into reverse. You can see the backup camera trajectory lines pretty good. They do move. The screen actually looks decent on this 8-inch. I'm going to let off of the brake pedal and just let the vehicle idle back until the reverse automatic braking system kicks in and abruptly stops me. Here we go. You'll notice it beeped right before it happened, and now it's still holding the brakes on its own. I'm not doing that. I have to depress the brake pedal before it'll let me shift gears and get out of the situation. And if you're wondering about the specs, this weighs about 3,500 pounds. It has a payload or a carrying capacity of 900 max pounds. They're roughly 15 feet long, 6 feet wide, and about 5.5 feet tall. The ground clearance is 8.7 inches, which is basically class leading for a crossover like this. But if you get the Wilderness, you have over 9.2 inches. You also can tow 3,000 pounds with the Wilderness, 1,500 pounds with all of these non-Wilderness trim levels. So then this one has a 370 final drive ratio, and it can do a full circle in about 35 feet, which is actually pretty agile and pretty impressive for the road. There's just a few last things to mention here, but when the vehicle's locked, so is the gas door, so no one can siphon your gas and open that thing up. But when you unlock the vehicle, so is the gas door. This has a 16.6 gallon tank. They're rated for around 28 city, around 32, 33 highway, so your max road trip and range is about 550 miles. The wheels are a Falcon 225 5518, so you lose a little bit of sidewall for a nice bigger fancier rim on this touring model, but they do have about 8/32 tread depth, so not as much tread depth as another tire on another brand or model. These almost seem like they're a little bit shaved down, unless that's just what these Falcons come with. I do have the winter driving video of Falcon tires and Wilderness Yokohama Geolanders in snow to show you guys the difference. But then you can leave the key in your pocket because you have proximity key features: lock, unlock, power liftgate, panic button. But here are those proximity key features, which are pretty convenient, but sometimes kind of slow to react, like right now when I'm trying to get back into the vehicle. But the driver's side door panel does look really good for being all different shades of black, soft touch materials. You could fit about 11 fingers in that handle. You have all your buttons, your controls, your memory seats, your lunar moon landing surface, your HK speakers, your bottle holder, your snacks, your baby size Subaru on the door sill right there, if you guys can see that. Rubberized mats on this one, rubberized pedals, hood release OBD2 ports under there, knee airbag, fuse box, which I have a hidden LED bar mounted on the grill of my Outback Wilderness, and that's where I have the panel to turn it on. And then you have power liftgate, steering responsive headlights on and off, memory, height adjustments, the lighting, traction, auto start stop, basically all your features. The touring is loaded out. And then heated 10-way power adjusted leather seats with decent bolstering and a nice power moonroof up top, and you can even see the LED lights turned on from this angle. Sitting inside here is a really nice place to be. It's spacious, it's comfortable, everything's well thought out and well laid out. The steering wheel is leather wrapped, it's heated. Paddle shifters for the 8 simulated speeds from the CVT on the back. The horn, I like this extension. It's loud, but it's kind of high pitched. Voice and volume controls on the left of the wheel, adaptive cruise settings, and then sport and intelligent mode on the right. And then you have your different paddles and your info button to go through the different displays that you have. But when you fire it right up, the needles dance, the steering responsive headlights do their theatrical display, and it roars to life. Otherwise, we'll quickly go through some of those displays, and then info goes to the top one. So, pretty nice place to be, and that's a pretty nice display. Anyways, 8-inch screen, no longer a CD player as mentioned earlier. The screen looks like it only has one page of widgets or features pulled up, but the HK speakers do sound pretty decent. You have hazards, all of your physical buttons. You have a 12-volt, 2 USBs, aux, rubberized area. Matte black, you can go down, manual mode, play musical simulated gears all you want with those paddle shifters. And then 2-level X mode, so snow and dirt and deep snow and mud. And if you guys, again, sorry to keep referencing my winter driving videos, but deep snow and mud really can make a difference to getting you unstuck if you happen to get your Forester or your Subi stuck. Otherwise, electronic parking brake, auto vehicle hold, heated seats, no front facing camera. You have your cup holders, you have your CD tray. Subaru designed the center console if you're going to take something away from us. And then you have a 12-volt in this average size center console. Up top you have the compass, auto dimming mirrors, which I really like on my own Outback Wilderness. And then garage door openers. This does not come off and slide, but it does extend. And then let's see, LED lighting, not too bad. Otherwise, controls for the power moonroof, some more safety features to turn off if you want, and then your sunglass holder. But let's turn it off and let's hop in the back. The back of the Forester is a really nice place to be. The driver's side door panel basically looks identical in design language and set up to the front. The seats are huge. The leather bench is fantastic. And these seats, just like the Outback, recline, so even tall passengers can get comfortable. This first one is the 40 split. The other side is the 60 split, and they're easy to lift and lower. But sitting in here without the seats reclined, I have that much room in front of my knees. Double pockets, pan foots. I have all the options, heated seats, plugins, and even some cup holders in the center. LED lighting up top, and the huge pano sunroof. So this is a pretty nice place to be, but let's hop out and I'll show you the hatch. Back here, there's 4 main ways to open it. You can either push the button on the dashboard, climb through the back seats, push the button underneath the Subaru emblem, or use the remote. But before we use the remote, I want to point out the pin code that's underneath the emblem to the right. I have a video on how to set that, as well as a bunch of other Subaru secrets if you're interested. Otherwise, power liftgate. It does a pretty good job. Back here, you have around 29 to 30 cubic feet of room, depending on if you have the HK sub or not. But when you drop the seats, which are easy to do with these little control knobs, control buttons, you have about 70 cubic feet. So quite a bit of storage back here. Spare tire underneath. Unfortunately, it's just a steel spare. It's not full size like you get on the Outback Wilderness. But the back cargo area is wide. It's easy to lift and lower things into here because it's not a super high threshold like some other crossovers have. But with that said, let's drop the hatch and move on. The passenger side looks identical. There's no new surprises back here. You even have the same map, pockets, and pamphlet holder, but this is the 60 split. And then if you get a ride shotgun, you get a slightly bigger, nicer door panel with a bigger pocket, HK speakers advertised. Baby size Subaru on the door sill, rubberized mats. Remember, 8 power adjustments here rather than 10 like the driver. But my backpack's happy, enjoying the heated seats, enjoying the comfort of this nice black leather. There's no transmission tunnel storage or above the glove box, but it is locking from the key that's hidden in your remote. It's adequately sized, but there's no plugins in here like the Outback has. Anyways, guys, let's come around to the front. I'm gonna pop the hood and I'll show you what the 2.5 liter boxer engine looks like. Under the hood is a really well laid out 2.5 liter boxer engine connected to the CVT. These engines, depending on which Subaru they're in, they make about 182 horse at about 5,600 RPM and about 176 to 178 foot-pound-feet of the twisty torque at about 4,400 RPM. Induction through the grille, through the filter, through the baffling, the piping, the plumbing, to the throttle body underneath this cover, and then the intake runners. You can actually see a lot of the block, a lot of the mechanics of this engine. The serpentine belt's right there, the alternator right up top, oil dipstick, filter, fill, all of your other reservoirs, your battery, your fuses. Honestly, it's a really well laid out vehicle, a really well laid out powertrain, and the main thing that's uncomfortable to do for maintenance is in 100,000 miles or whenever you decide to change the spark plugs. Otherwise, this is a pretty easy vehicle to work on. Let's drop the hood and take it for a drive. This is probably my favorite part because I get to time travel and teleport you guys to one of my favorite roads, show you how it drives. We'll do the 0 to 60, and then I'll meet back here for my final thoughts. Initial driving impressions of the 24 Forester Touring is, after driving a lot of these, they never get old. They're such a smooth, capable ride. The CVT sometimes fake shifts under light acceleration, or as you'll see soon, when you really get on it and you gun it, it usually will hold like it's supposed to. But visibility is amazing. Of all the different CVs I've driven by many brands, I think the Forester has the best visibility all around. The windows are ginormous. The panoramic moonroof is just huge. The way that the hood slopes down like a waterfall, you can really see pretty low. So even though this one doesn't have the front-facing camera, you almost don't need it unless you're going to be doing some serious off-roading or soft-roading and going over some trails. The side mirrors do great to show you what's going on down the side, as does the rear view through the rear. So really, this is a pretty cool vehicle. I'm going to give it a half acceleration. The CVT actually feels pretty snappy, pretty responsive. This has the 8-inch screen with the upgraded HK speakers, and they do sound pretty decent. When you have to slow down and change direction, it feels stable, it feels comfortable. Even being about 15 feet long, less than a 9-foot wheelbase, it really handles quite well. But this part of the country, there's a lot of deer, there's sometimes elk, and lots of skunks and other animals on the road. So if you're going 20 miles an hour, I'm not going to just throw the wheel this time, but I'm just going to kind of swerve. It does pretty good. If you heard that grinding noise, that was probably the rear tires sliding around a little bit. But overall, it changes direction well. The horn, very loud, but pretty high-pitched. And overall, I think this is a really good vehicle. The seats are pretty comfortable, these black leather ones. No extension for the driver, but they're still really comfortable. They're heated. Subaru heated seats are not the hottest, but they do a pretty decent job. They're just not going to get you over warm, and if you have poor sensation, you shouldn't have to worry too much about getting burned from those. And overall, the layout, the driving ergonomics, it's really nice, it's really comfortable. You can fit full-size adults in the back seat, have over 30 cubic feet of cargo capacity, and get 30 miles per gallon. So when you're driving a Forester, you're really driving something that's special, that feels like an old school SUV. If you guys heard that bump, it absorbs it pretty well. And you just don't really have to worry about what's going on. Going through a foggy, weird area like this, you know, there's a little bit of a bank up before the canal. I could easily pull onto the side and do a U-turn if I had to, and I don't have to feel overly sensitive about where I take my Forester. But I think you guys should test drive one if you're in the market for one. If you're considering a vehicle like this, test drive its competitors, including this or various of the 6 trim levels, and decide what's right for you. But this is pretty cool. Let's get to the private track, private road, and do a 0 to 60. 0 to 60 in the 24 Touring Forester, you can see traction is off, sport mode is on, I'll brake rev it, and density altitude's about 3,000 feet, so this vehicle is down on power about 10%. And true 0 to 60 came in at 9.28, which given our elements, that's really not too bad. On a really cool winter day, it might be up to about a half second faster, or a really hot summer day, it could be up to about 2 seconds slower in my own personal testing. But let's get to my final thoughts. My final thoughts of this 5th generation Forester is overall, it's an incredible vehicle, and one that you should consider, one that you should test drive when you're looking at all of the crossovers that you're checking out and deciding which one's best for you. It has probably the best visibility of any SUV or crossover that I've driven, probably the best all-wheel drive system, especially in this economy class of vehicles between Hondas, Toyotas, Subarus, Mazdas, and it has an old school feel and layout that just makes it feel familiar and something that doesn't age poorly. There's a lot of reasons to love a Subaru. Some of the ones you might not be interested in this include, there's not a turbocharged or more powerful option or a hybrid in this configuration. It's not class leading in quite a few specs that might be important to you, but it should be reliable. It should be a really good family vehicle, and one that you can depend on, and one that makes life easier for you to take it into the mountains, to take it to go get your family Christmas tree. Whatever the heck you're gonna take it on, the Subaru is kind of like a lifestyle vehicle, and really there's no surprise why they have such a cult-like following. But if you like this video, if you found it helpful or informative or anyway, please consider liking my video. That small act of kindness is seriously so appreciated. I wish you guys the best. Comment any other thoughts and opinions you have below, or anything that I may have missed, and I hope to see you on the next one. See ya.